In April 2004, 12 large new production facilities were opened in Russia. Russian industry continues to develop steadily. In April, 12 new large enterprises and workshops were opened with investments of more than 100 million rubles each. Smaller enterprises were not included in the survey, but there are quite a few of them. Of these 12, 3 are particularly large with investments of more than 1 billion rubles. Most of the capacities were commissioned in the machine building sector and chemical industry with 5 production facilities each. A stage equipment plant was opened in the Kirov region. The construction of the enterprise began in 2022. Investment in the project amounted to more than 350 million rubles. It is planned to create 60 jobs at the new production facility. The products to be manufactured by the Kirov plant are chain electric rebates, enclosures for power, lighting, wiring equipment, upper and lower mechanical stages, lifting mechanisms, and other equipment. Flex Filmstris launched a new polypropylene film shop in the Moscow region. The area of the production building is 7,000 square meters. This is the company's second workshop on the territory of the Stepino-Kvadrat Special Economic Zone in the Moscow region. The first one has been operating since 2020. The new facility produces non-oriented polypropylene film of various grades, including metallized barrier films used in the food industry. The film production capacity of the plant is 18,000 tons per year. Investments in the project amounted to 2.5 billion rubles. 100 new jobs were created. An organic fertilizer production facility was opened in the Tomsk region. This is the first production complex in the Urals to produce such fertilizers in the Tomsk region. Its capacity is capable of producing products to restore soil fertility, increase yields, and improve plant quality on an area of almost 30,000 hectares. Investments in the organic agro-production complex exceeded 600 million rubles. Siplast has set up polyurethane foam production facilities. There it will produce elastic furniture polyurethane foam from 5 to 15,000 cubic meters. Over 900 million rubles have been invested in the new production building. Of which 450 million rubles was provided by the Industrial Development Fund on the terms of a lucrative loan. Thanks to this project, the share of imports in the Russian market will be reduced to a minimum from the current 12% to about 6%. A new production shop of the point of support plant was opened in Revda. Its area is 2,800 square meters. It is equipped with modern high-tech equipment. Lighting supports, foundation embedded parts, brackets, lightning receivers will be manufactured here. In addition, the shop will provide various services in welding, bending, processing, painting of metal parts and products. It is planned to create 30 workplaces in the new shop with the possibility of employee training. Russia's first serial production of printers based on domestic system boards was launched. The MFP, serial production of which has begun, prints 40 A4 sheets per minute at a resolution of 1200 by 1200 pixels, has an internet, USB, and Wi-Fi interface, and is compatible with the Russian Alt and ReDOS operating systems. Katusha has organized 2 production facilities near Moscow and St. Petersburg. Motherboards are produced in the Leningrad region, while printers and office MFPs are produced both near St. Petersburg and in Zelenograd. The company does not disclose production volumes. A plant for the production of pipe fittings was opened in St. Petersburg. It was opened on the territory of the Arsenal Industrial Zone. This new plant will be engaged in serial production of polymer fittings with embedded heaters. The total cost of production amounted to 150 million rubles. In Solnechnogorsk, the production of systems for supply and distribution of process gases was launched. It was launched by the company RT Engineering Systems. It was realized on the territory of the Esipov Industrial Park. At the new enterprise in Solnechnogorsky district of Moscow region, the company launched the production of systems for supply and distribution of process gases, especially pure gases. The company chose Industrial City Industrial Co-working Space in the Industrial Park Esipova to house its production facilities. The total investment in the project amounted to about 100 million rubles. Within the framework of the project, the company created 40 workplaces, including for highly qualified specialists. The largest plastic recycling plant was opened in the Moscow region. It was launched in Egoryevsk. It will recycle plastic and produce finished products from recycled plastic granules. The volume of waste processing at the enterprise will be 60,000 tons per year. This is the country's first complete waste recycling production chain. Fluoroplast will recycle all major types of plastic from household waste, not only ordinary PET bottles from various beverages, water, lemonades, beer, but also HDP bottles from creams, shampoos, detergents, HDP canisters, polypropylene buckets, shovels, as well as difficult-to-recycle packaging and construction HDPE and LDPE films. Investments in the project amounted to more than 11 billion rubles. The enterprise will provide jobs for up to 200 residents of the Moscow region. Alpha Metal launched the Bilo-Kalitva foundry and rolling plant in the Rostov region. The capacity of the first stage of the new facility for the production of cast aluminum strip is 14,000 tons per year. Investments in the project amounted to about 1 billion rubles. The cast aluminum strip produced at the plant is a semi-finished product used after further processing at Russian metallurgical enterprises in the production of construction materials and electrical products, cookware, and consumer durables. The project created 34 new jobs in the town of Belaya Kalitva, Rostov region. A factory for the production of knitted fabrics was opened in the Moscow region. For Texanamp, company opened a modern full-cycle factory for the production of knitted fabric for mattresses at the Valishchevo Industrial Park in Podolsk, Moscow region. Investments in the new production facility amounted to 800 million rubles. The funds were used to purchase a fleet of modern circular knitting machines, a drying and sewing machine, and non-woven fabric lines. The capacity of the new enterprise is 2,000 tons, or 4.5 million linear meters of knitted fabric per year. The Additive Technology Center was opened in St. Petersburg in the Special Economic Zone, Strelnya. It was built on its own site by the company Laser Systems. The new production facility was equipped with high-tech 3D printers that print metal components and parts of complex shapes. From the outside, the printing process on this 3D printer looks like laser engraving, but in fact, the laser burns a new layer of metal powder to the future part time after time. And in 2 days, 99 such nozzles with a height of 3 centimeters will be taken out of this chamber. From an economic point of view, it is more profitable to print them here than to look for original ones on the market. Investments in the project exceeded 100 million rubles. In total, 12 new production facilities were opened in April 2024. Of these, if we take the sources of investment, 1 production with foreign capital, and 11 are entirely Russian capital. Russia is also catching up with the United States in steel. Steel production in Russia grew by 6% last year, whereas in the US, the steel industry has been in slight decline for the past few years. A couple more years, and we will be able to overtake the Americans in steel production, and in 5 years we will overtake Japan, whose steel industry is suffering against the backdrop of rising energy costs. Our country is also one of the world's major steel producers, ranking in the top 5. Production volumes vary around 80 million tons per year. The Russian steel industry stands out because of the wide range of products it produces and exports to many countries. Russian steel production is supported by the capacities of hundreds of enterprises, many of which are city-forming enterprises, such as those of Evraz Holding and Severstal or the Magnitogorsk Iron and Steel Works. These enterprises account for more than 10% of all manufacturing production, or 2.5% of the country's GDP. In the current realities, it is especially important to maximize the capacity of the enterprises and introduce new ones in order to increase the output of steel, which is strategically important for the country's economy. And Russia now has every chance to break new records in the production of quality steel with the prospect of overtaking the United States, and then, perhaps, Japan, and entering the top 3. And one more thing I would like to note. In the 19th century, the main workshop of the world was Britain. In the 20th century, the USA. In the 21st century, however, China has taken the top spot in industrial production, depriving the Anglo-Saxons of even the hope of ever catching up. American industry has grown by 3% since 2006. British industry has struggled at 3.9%. By comparison, China's industry is now 2.5 times more powerful than America's and still growing. In Russia, meanwhile, both industry and agriculture are growing at high rates. Data for the first quarter was recently released. Pay attention to the industries that are the leaders of growth. At the end of the first quarter of 2024, growth in the manufacturing index was plus 8.8% year-on-year. Growth from the pre-war quarter of 2022 is nearly 12%. Leading the growth is the manufacture of computers and electronic equipment, plus 31.9%. Vehicles and equipment, plus 32.9%.
Auto manufacturing, plus 25%.
Food manufacturing, plus 10% to the pre-war period of 2022. The agribusiness sector continues the steady growth that began in 2014. Milk production plus 3.8%, chocolate production plus 8.9%, greenhouse vegetable production plus 4% are traditionally growing. Over the past 5 years, fruit and berry production has grown 1.6 times to almost 2 million tons. This year, a record 73,000 hectares will be planted for these crops. Animal feed production plus 4.1%. The average domestic producer already occupies about 85% of the market. At the end of 2023, meat sales in Russia grew by 3.8%, and meat production by 2%. And this year, we will break another record in meat consumption of about 83 kilograms per person. And palm oil imports have also fallen to their lowest level in 10 years, a reduction of almost a third to pre-war levels in 2021. And let's not talk about the fact that, according to the IMF, the Russian economy is growing faster than any of the leading Western countries that have imposed sanctions.